There is no way my mood gets affected by the music in a movie. Hey! Hello and welcome to another episode of Music Basics with Ballard. My name is Douglas Ballard and I'm glad to have you along in this music journey today. Today we're going to be discussing the effects of music in film and how that music affects your perception of the scene that you're watching. It's a pretty impressive thing. Before we get going, I need to point out that this is still distance learning for my students, so I will be hiding passphrases inside the video for them to find in order to put into a quiz later. I really very much appreciate your understanding in all these episodes, me having to do this, but you're awesome. Thanks a lot. One of the things that I talked about in a previous episode of Music Basics with Ballard, major with minor, if you are watching that episode, I talked about how the sound affects your perception on an emotional level. And great musical composers really understand what that does to you to help you understand the scene. And really good directors bring in really great composers in order to really make sure you are totally dialed in on what the director wants you to see. All right, so we have to talk a little bit about human physiology, and that is involving your brain. When you're listening to a piece of music, the first place that reacts to that piece of music almost instantaneously is your amygdala. Your amygdala is kind of the emotion center of your brain, and it moves into the thalamus. And then once it has kind of been processed in both of those areas, it then goes into the hippocampus, which is where you store your memories. And that's how you create a thought about music. It kind of passes through your brain. It's one of the important things about why your brain kind of uses all sides to process music. It's really kind of fascinating stuff. And your brain starts by thinking about it on an emotional level. You ever heard the phrase, music is a universal language? Well, it comes because every human being has emotions, and you start out thinking about music in emotions. It's pretty awesome. Now, today we're going to be doing some basic looks at the way the film scoring goes along with the film. But if you want to see the greats really plying their craft, I highly recommend you look at John Williams, Howard Shore, and Thomas Newman. Those are three of the greats in Hollywood today, and they really can't be beat. Just use the example of Indiana Jones when he's about to grab that idol. John Williams really understands how to write tension into that scene so you really feel how much he's struggling to think about how to grab that idol. If you take a look at the Mines of Moria scene with Howard Shore's writing, you can totally feel that that group is ready to fight, but they're also trying to fight for their lives at the same time. Just really, really intelligently written. And finally, if you want to talk about like a more pleasant emotion like love, there's a really great scene in the movie WALL-E where Thomas Newman really writes this lovely flowing melody as Wally and Eve are really kind of expressing their feelings for each other as they fly around the edges of the axiom. Check those out. I really recommend you listen to that music and see how it makes you feel about the scene. It shows what the director wants, and those composers really figured it out. All right, before we get rolling, here comes my very first word, and that word is Imagineering. It sounds like it's made up, but it's not. It's actually the department that Disney uses to design rides and all kinds of other things. It's called Imagineering. All right, so with today's episode, what we're going to do is we're going to use some video clips, and we're going to set different musical styles to those video clips so you can see what I'm talking about, where it will manipulate your emotional response to that video. Now, before we get started, I want to let you know that I'm using all royalty-free music and video clips. Royalty-free, again, means that you can use it with permission, or sometimes you don't even need to have permission, you just can use it. I'm going to be using clips from a website called Pexels, and that is www.pexels.com, Pexels. And I'm also going to be using music from Incompetech, which I have used before, and we've talked about it, especially in the Audacity episode. You should check that one out. And we're going to be talking about using Incompetech's music, but mostly by Kevin MacLeod, to kind of adjust the feeling of that scene. I hope you understand that royalty free doesn't mean that I just get to use it and walk away with it. Sometimes the artist requests that you give them credit. So if you look down in my description, you'll see all of Kevin MacLeod's music that I'm going to be using today is available for you to check out off of his website. Now, off of Pexels, it says I can just use it whenever I want, however I want, but not all of them. So make sure you're checking. Be careful. Copyright, again, is not something to mess around with. All right, for these first couple videos, I'm going to do something where I act kind of like the director. I'm going to kind of set the scene for you and then play the video clip with the music underneath it, and hopefully you'll be able to see the emotion that I want you to see based on that music. Okay, so the first video we're going to use is a great video I found of a leopard seal on the beach. And we're going to try this first clip with it feeling like it's peaceful. All right, so this music is supposed to give you ideas that this leopard seal is just there on the beach having a good time. Let's check it out. Okay, did you see it? Peaceful, right? Now, let's say that leopard seal, maybe it's injured, and that's why it's laying on the beach like that. So let's check this out with it feeling like it's in distress. All right, now here's the last one. I don't like feeling about that leopard seal being hurt, so let's end on this. Let's try playful, all right? So let's say the leopard seal is in a playful mood. Check it out. Did you notice? All I did was change the video's music, and it makes you think differently about that scene, all right? Let's try another one. All right, in this next sequence, we actually have a person. So you're gonna be able to read their face and kind of pick up on their emotions, but the music can also make you change what you think you might be perceiving from their face. So let's try this out. This is a scene with a man just texting on his phone in the middle of the street, all right? So let's try it first that he's getting the breakup text. You see, you could feel that he was sad from that sad music, and he'd just gotten the, hey, it's just not working out text, right? Which is a terrible way to do it, by the way. Don't ever do that to somebody. Anyway, let's try another one. Let's say that he's just posting to his social media. He's gone on Twitter, he's gone on Instagram, and he's just trying to post there something. Let's check that out. See if you can get that from this video. You see, it's just very much him using his technology to do something, right? It's kind of a normal music, right? All right, let's try something else. Let's try a little bit of, who sent me this text? Did you get it, right? You see what I'm talking about? That horror kind of tense feeling in the music makes you go, wow, he just got something really scary, right? All right, let's move on to something else. All right, in this next scene, we're gonna have a man who's kind of like checking out the viewfinder on his camera, and that's it. And we're gonna try to mess with it a little bit. And I want to see what you think first. I will give my opinion based on what the music I chose for it was, but I wanted you to come up with your own first. I don't want you to have what are called a preconceived notion, which is kind of what I gave you before. All right, so a preconceived notion, again, is when I say, this is what you should think, and because you were already thinking about it, you kind of held on to that idea. I want you to be able to do this on your own. So all it is a scene with a man looking into the viewfinder on his camera, and the camera kind of pans past him. Let's try this one. All right, for me, that scene is kind of, he saw something in his image that he took that he shouldn't have. Like, he took a picture of something and realized that he caught something really, really awful in the scene, and he's trying to decide what to do about it. All right, let's try it again with this music. All right, for me, what I think of is like private investigator on the hunt for something. Like he went out and he's using his camera to try to catch the person that he's been hired to follow, all right? So that's kind of what I get from that one. Let's try one more. All right, for this one, it was kind of a positive. Like he's getting the perfect shot and he's just setting it up and he knows it's about to be perfect, right? You can hear the positivity in that. All right, so let's try another scene. Oh, wait, hold on. It's time for the second word. And that second word is hidden. Much like all these words have been all these episodes, it's hidden. All right, in this next scene, it's a little longer. It's a group of people walking down the street, and there's one woman who is the primary focus of that video. And what I want you to do is I want you to apply the music that we're listening to what that woman might be thinking, all right? So here we go. Let's apply this music to her thoughts. Did you get it? I kind of had this feeling like she's heading off to have fun with her friends and she's thinking about it. It's like, this is really, really awesome. And I'm hanging out with my good friends and we're heading to wherever we want to go to do that. All right. All right. Let's try it again. And this one's a little different. Yeah, I'm sorry. I threw that in there. I basically was like, they know I'm an evil person and I'm going to have to take care of them. Did you hear that? It was like creepy and intense. And she's like, the smile now looks fake, right? It's kind of weird. All right, we're going to try one more. You notice how like the film itself is kind of on the slower side. They slowed down, and a lot of times when they do that in film, it's because it's supposed to be like a memory. And so I kind of thought, well, for the last example, I'm going to use it the way that I think a director would actually use that scene. And I use it as like a positive memory that this woman is thinking back on as she's kind of walking down the street. Maybe she's by herself and the people behind her are like phantoms of that memory. So you see how I kind of got it from that very like positive, but more thoughtful music behind her, okay? All right, for the final scene we're gonna kind of mess around with, I wanna point out that I decided on this one to not use anything with a face. So there's no faces in this image, it's just a truck driving along a desert road with hot air balloons floating behind it. And what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to realize that a lot of people take cues in movies off of what the actor's face is doing and then add the music to it as well. In this case, you can't do that, and a lot of composers have to really think, how do I want to convey this message? So we're going to try first with this. So the way I look at that scene with that music behind it is like there's this sense of adventure. You have this really cool sequence of balloons behind it. The truck seems to be traveling on a road less traveled. You have this sense of adventure. It's pretty awesome. So I thought maybe we should go with that. All right, so let's try it again. Here we go. All right, for this one, the truck kind of looks like a military vehicle a little bit, so I kind of thought, hey, let's try making it seem like maybe it's on a military mission and they're heading somewhere, and it just happens to be that they're protecting a balloon festival or something, and they're heading to where the bomb might be to try to disarm it. So I figured I'd go with that one for that one, a little bit of a military-esque mission kind of sequence, all right? So let's try it one last time. All right, for this one, I kind of had the idea that maybe that truck is just starting out on a journey, heading somewhere, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and it's got a long journey ahead of it. And I just kind of giving you that sense of, all right, we have something we need to do. We're just starting out. Let's hope it all goes well, and it all goes in a positive way. So I just figured I'd end with that on that video. All right, folks, there you have it. That is all of the information I was hoping to impart with you in this Music Basics video on the effects of film music on a scene. I hope you're able to kind of follow along and see how much your brain kind of manipulates how you perceive the scene based on the music that you're hearing, because music strikes you right away in your emotional centers. It's pretty amazing stuff. Before we go, I'm going to give my final word, and that final word is Mickey, as in Mickey Mouse. As you've noticed, a lot of my words have a Disney theme to it. This one's no different. Mickey. All right, that's everything. I really appreciate you coming along with me on these musical journeys. Again, my name's Douglas Ballard. If you really like these videos, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you really enjoy the rest of my videos, go ahead and subscribe, because every time I put a new one out, you'll get a notification for it, especially if you hit that bell icon. I really have enjoyed making these for you, and I hope you've enjoyed watching them. But until the next time, see ya, bye. Oh, thank you. Oh, you don't need to stand up for an ovation. It was all for you.